Intro for a YouTube video on the Be Prepared to Do It Again session. Here is a recreation of my January 22, 2004 unstructured hypnosis session with recovered audio from 21 years ago. I am amazed that I still had a digital version of the recorded audio. Unfortunately, the old Olympus DS330 handheld recorder has poor audio pickup and much of my voice sounds too low in pitch. So, here is a restitching of the hand transcription with the recovered audio. Thursday, January 22, 2004. This session is about, perhaps, the most important revelation of the entire set of sessions, the reason why the transport device was destroyed, protection from the Pleiadians. Of particular note is the following disturbing warning: be prepared to do it again, which appears to be a potential request to do whatever is required to allow the civilization to crumble again, despite the potential for massive loss of life on the Earth plane. The decision to destroy the uplink, the transport device, had more to do with the request of spirit than the requests of the spiritual Ka-folk. June 2025, I revisit this document last touched in 2013 and decide to clean up the spelling errors, choice of wrong words, and some of the conversation with Jerian to make this easier to listen to. My thoughts are to upload this as a much longer video to my new YouTube channel, and all of the vocalization starts and stops get in the way of listening to the important content.
And what's leading, I have an intent today of understanding what the real issue was about why I had to have the transport device destroyed. We never heard that yet. All the sessions we've had, we've just been told that there was an issue that led to the destruction of this device and so on. But we've never heard what the issue was.
The saga unwinds.
Another piece of onion to unpeel, onion layer to unpeel. I went to see Billy Baker yesterday, and I asked her about some names of people I thought were involved in this and what was her impression. And she didn't even want to talk about that. That wasn't the message that she brought through.
Yeah. It wasn't what you were supposed to get from her.
Well, Billy's a channel. She just relays what she's being shown.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
So
But what came through in the reading was, Alan, you're being surrounded by spirit and guarded from what could be the incessant demands of others for attention and information. Sometimes when I go down to a bagel shop in the morning sometimes, or I go off to a little IHOP restaurant or a spot to have breakfast, and I realize how nice it is to be completely anonymous.
Nobody knows who you are.
Nobody knows who I am. No one's ranting and raving at me about, is the world going to come to an end? Will you save me? All those kinds of questions. Complaints, criticisms, supplications. There's a movie out called Phenomenon.
Another phenomenon?
No, this was a John Travolta movie. It's about 5 years ago.
Oh, I saw that. I love that movie.
Do you remember how he was treated?
Yeah.
Later on, the latter part of the movie?
Oh, yeah.
People wanted him to touch, bless, whatever, their sick child and so on.
And they wanted to dissect his brain.
And wanted to dissect his brain, all those kinds of things. And there may come a time when this stuff gets out where I may be subject to that kind of crap.
You
never know.
You're just a human being like everybody
Yeah.
else. I mean, really.
Yeah. Actually, I was driving over here, I was wondering, for such a significant event of major pretending catastrophe, there's got to be other people who are hearing about this.
Okay. I agree with
And maybe they're dealing with this in their own way. Maybe they're completely abject as to, I can't do anything about it.
Now I'm trying to remember, what was it, because of these meteorites were going to hit the water and cause this big flood or tsunami or whatever they call them. Right?
That's the low end of the problem, yes.
But that was what you saw. And then there was, now it's all coming back. And then the device was just supposed to stop these things and send them off or disperse them or so they don't hit the earth.
Well, there's this cloud. I mean, the cloud's probably 40,000 miles in diameter or width, but it's hundreds of thousands of miles in length. Okay, it's like a great big long drawn-out cigar. And there's clumps of things with lots of space in between them. They're just long, drawn-out cloud of debris moving in orbit. The picture they show me is most of the cloud passes on the outside of a particular traversal there, but some of the fringe elements are in the path of actually striking the planet from the north side at that point in time. I mean, they aren't to the north side right now because they're somewhere else in the orbit. They could be in the south side for right now, for all I know, although there are two clouds counter-rotating against each other. But some of them strike places in the northern Pacific, causing huge tsunamis. Others strike further around the circumference of the latitude onto, say, Canada, United States, China, certainly Russia, like Asia, those kinds of places. And when they hit there, they kick up dirt, rock, and debris into the air. And that's the part that's really scary. And we can live with tsunamis. Those are recoverable from. Because once the water comes in, it goes away.
Right.
And then the sun comes out the next day.
Right.
But with rock being thrown up into the air, it stays there for a long, long time.
And it's up in the atmosphere?
Up in the atmosphere. Dust. It's like volcanoes going off everywhere.
Okay.
And if there's enough big of them, and they come in succession because it's a cloud of stuff, well, it'll pass the cloud pretty quickly, so it's not going to be like, it's going to be over weeks, it's going to be like probably in the space of 3 or 4 hours, and the time it's kind of gone. It's like, bam, gone. But if they start to strike with enough intensity and synchronous arrivals to where they support the wave action, then tectonic plates get to twitch. And when that happens, that makes earthquakes and volcanoes come alive.
Oh, okay, so it could be real destructive.
Yes, and if the volcanoes come alive, and I don't know whether I necessarily saw this, so I'm just speculating on, say if all the major volcanoes from Northern California up through Vancouver popped,
Yeah, there's more of them.
okay, and then they pump even more stuff into the air. And that stuff stays around a lot longer than kick up dirt.
So you think it would affect our breathing, or?
No, it just gets...
It gets in the atmosphere.
Well, you remember how it was here when the fire was here?
Yeah.
Okay? And you saw how cloudy and how dark the sky was?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that going on for 5 years.
Oh, goody.
Okay? There's no sunlight. There's no warmth.
Right.
There's nothing for plants to grow.
Right. It's just, yeah.
Okay? No plants, no heat, no life conditions. The place becomes uninhabitable, pretty much. Now, the deal is that the Nephilim have devices which can be moved into where the orbital pattern we saw, as they match the orbit of the debris field. They find the ones they know are going to be problem guys, take care of those, the big parts. They can't get all the big parts, but they can get the ones that are going to be problem things. So there can be smaller parts they can't deal with, because there's too many of the long drawn out field, that can get through. And it's there where we have to have the staff devices zapping smaller parts that come in.
So they don't hit the earth.
Well, they're going to hit the earth. And they're going to go through the atmosphere. They're going to go start burning up and with these huge fireballs. Do you remember the Bruce Willis movie of a few years ago? He's the head of some oil company out in the Pacific somewhere, and the United States. Some astronomer finds a chunk of asteroid that's like a Texas supposedly heading towards the
I don't think I saw that one, but anyway.
running out. But in that movie, they show big clumps of matter like a yard in diameter or huge basketball size, things like the size of Volkswagens, on fire, coming down through the atmosphere, passing right through buildings,
Really?
and hitting ground and blowing big holes in the ground.
That kind of thing, probably.
That's minor stuff, but that's the kind of things that the staff devices would be used
They
for that.
could get.
They could get.
Yeah.
That's what I'm being shown.
It's big, isn't it?
Well, I find it a little odd. I would expect to be hearing rumors about this, or talk, or chat shows, or Art and Bell stuff, or things like those things, alluding to this coming on, and the fact that I don't hear that, maybe I'm not listening to the right place.
Is going to happen around 2012?
Between 2010 and 2012.
Yeah, because see, that is like a very...
End of Mayan calendar stuff.
Yeah, and we hope it's not the end of the world as we know it, because this has happened more, I heard a tape, 6 years ago, and it was the Indian story. Well, they said that we've been destroyed 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
Not just Noah's Ark,
Yes.
but more than that.
Yeah.
We've been through this.
Yeah.
And gone to nothing and had to start all over again.
Yeah.
So now, from the spiritual standpoint, everything that I get a kind of a newsletter on the internet called Beacons of Light.
Right.
And they have a group that channels through, and they're talking about how the light workers are raising the planet's vibration, and they're going to prevent a lot of these. They don't say catastrophes, but you could. It sounds like we need to do this in a sense to save our planet.
Yeah.
They don't talk about catastrophes or anything like that, but it's really alluding to it.
I guess.
I mean, I can surely do it. That we're going to be changing the planet and transforming the planet and doing all that, right?
Well, here's an example. In the paper about a week ago, there was a disturbing article that just made me sad. President Bush has decided to defund the maintenance of the Hubble telescope. They're going to not maintain it anymore, which means that...
It's out in space.
Oh, no, it's not.
That's one that looks way out.
That's one that looks way outside, but it has power supplies and gyroscopes and other things that wear out over time. And Atlantis, not Atlantis, the space shuttle missions like the Columbia and so on, they go up there and replace worn-out parts and keep it in shape. Well, they're not going to do it anymore. In order for me to really convince the people that I think I need to convince, I need to get time in that, people to get time in that telescope, looking in the direction where these clouds are going to be coming from. Okay. If it's not being maintained, it may be the point where it's not going to be able to look there anymore. That is it.
Well, don't you think so? Yes, the government won't do it, but maybe somebody will fund it that's got a lot of money. There's a lot of rich people in the world, God. There's so much money out there. People that have concerns and say, well, what's her name, Joan Croft, just gave how many millions to the Salvation Army?
Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah.
So, you would hope that somebody who's a philanthropist and is concerned about that would take care of it.
Well, maybe there's people who are I call the super wealthy, who have had lifetime back in this time period, who are now here to perhaps do their part of the deal.
That's what I say. I really don't think it'll get not taken care of. It's too important.
Hope not.
So there's a lot of that.
But somewhere along the line here, despite dance lessons and whatnot, there has to be a point in time when I get some concrete evidence to go present. And as much as I'm, I guess I'm sort of enjoying this, to be honest. Scary as it is, though, eventually it has to get down to where the rubber meets the road. Speaking of that, 6, 8 months ago, I had a dream that was profound. I told you about this before, and I had emailed the content of the dream to my friend.
Yeah, I remember.
And the dreams showed that our activity there being shut down and rehosted somewhere else.
Right.
I actually saw a scene of the building. Well, I also in the email verbally what this building looks like, and we had a belief as to where it might be. I went and visited the place Tuesday.
And that was it?
No.
No.
It's not it.
It's not it.
It's not the building I saw in the dream. Which, of course, begs the question, okay, was it just a dream? Or have I just not been seeing the real building yet?
I guess you have to wait and see.
You have to wait and see. But until I get what I can present is, more than speculatory information to these guys, I really can't talk to them about it.
You need some sort of proof
Yeah.
for their kind of, if that mind,
Yeah.
you and I understand it, but,
Yeah. No, I'm having trust and faith that whatever makes this thing happen, the stuff that we do, and the stuff that I see, really must be aware of all those constraints and situations,
I would hope.
and whether it's through me or someone else is busily taking care of that or preparing to take care of that.
And I think you've mentioned this before. You're probably not the only one that maybe hopefully getting some of this information. That there are others.
Well, it said Lynn's source mentioned 6 people here. Okay. Who are those 6 people? I don't want to digress on another topic here. In the dream I had of October 17th, the date was, the dream before the session I came here had the little ceremony thing, and the little chant that I wrote down for you. There was very distinctively the word disciples in the statement of the chant. There wasn't followers, team members, associates. There was the word disciples, which has a heavy connotation in our culture and language. Okay. Am I one of 12?
Yeah. 12 is a very important number.
Or am I one to bring 13 around? Why 12? Am I one of the 12? Or are there to be 12 others?
No, but 12 is like, there's, in the creation, there's 12 monads. Each monad has 12 things. Everything is in 12. 12, 12, 12. It's very, but it's just the way it is. So 12 is a very significant number.
Yeah.
12 months in a year, 12 disciples, right? All that.
Well, that's why, I'm a little bugged by this, to be honest. I'm no savior.
Well, no.
I didn't want to be a savior. I've already been talked down for being even prophets. I don't need to do that anymore. And in any case, that's still a thing that bugs me a bit, is why the word disciples. That was audibly distinct present word. I've also been having, last Thursday I went down and I ran my little map question against Charlene, my dance partner, and Carmen Garcia, my good friend Carmen Garcia of many years, who teaches us the movement. Charlene circles exactly the same place that some of the ladies did. Carmen circles the spot off in Egypt. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, yeah, this thing maybe will unfold. You'll get your people.
That was the question I had for Billy, and
And she couldn't give you anything on that? Well, you told me what she said.
well, I think I'm being kept in the dark here.
So, but her message was that people are trying to get information out of you. So where do you feel that fits in?
I don't know if this is a future thing or an actual current thing. A few weeks ago, Deborah Feldman, who's pastor of the church, asked me in the presence of several of the ladies there, two of them who know pretty much the stuff going on there, if I wanted to be a trustee of the church. And I responded immediately, hell no. I'm no glutton for punishment.
You have enough to do.
Yeah, I said exactly. I said, I already have enough on my plate, and you don't even know the half of it.
Right, you have no idea what's on your plate. Yeah. You've got enough. You don't need to take on anything else. No.
No, if we're going to argue, I shouldn't even be doing the dance lessons. But
Well, you're going to learn something from that. They would all be symbolic.
well, there's time when I wondered, is there really a life connection between me and Charlene, the lady I'm my dance partner with right now? Billy said no. He said Charlene's floating around with stuff in her own life past. She doesn't really have time for you. There's no consistency that you can bet upon there.
That's interesting. Was there somebody in your future that would support you through all this? Because in the
that's what I'm asking.
In the Atlantean time, you had a wonderful wife and a couple little girls, and
I said,
she was real supportive. And
I would say wives, plural.
Wives? They had more than one?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't remember. Did you get that though?
Yes.
There was more than one woman?
I didn't bring my notebook today, but there was one of the all-night writing sessions where one of the wives unloaded on me in the writing of that a whole bunch of past resentment.
Oh.
And she said that...
So there can be problems between unlike the Mormons. Religion harmony.
Yeah. In any case, she that pick of writing identified the fact that there was like a head wife and maybe some minor wives, and they were all trying to get my attention to recognize what they saw was the coming doom. And I wouldn't listen to them. Or actually, I did know it, but I couldn't tell them they knew it. Things were already head steaming, and there wasn't any way that I could do to really undo it other than what I did. But also that little note said...
This is so interesting, because this is almost like reliving a lifetime for you.
Yes.
I mean, think about it. That was that destruction, and here you are now. The possibility of another destruction.
Yes.
Well, I know we're not alone. There's a lot of people here in the United States that were from Atlantis, and they are here for a reason. And I'm sure you're not the only one. I just have a gut feeling about that.
I should hope so. What was I going to say?
About the women when they want.
Oh yeah, part of the complaint there was that head wife and another wife called Thelma attempted to work behind the scenes with other people in the council to convince them that there was this coming problem, which we haven't heard enumerated yet, and that they saw it in what they called their dreams, but the council members wouldn't listen to them, and they were getting bugged so much by the wives, they were starting to complain that I was incapable of controlling my women. That phrase was directly quoted.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
And of course the women were very intuitive and getting messages through their dreams, and like a lot of women are today, and
Okay.
men too, but still, women were more.
Now, when my father was an officer in the United States Air Force, it became real clear to me that career officers were being evaluated not only for how they administered, ran, directed, commanded the people under them, but whether they had control of their own families. An officer with a wife that was really errant was considered someone who really wasn't candidate material for regular commissions. If you couldn't control your wife,
How could you control?
how could you control anybody else? That was a sort of a test point. And in fact, they really didn't want officers who weren't married because that was part of the test point.
In fact, there was a little mention about it, and we watched JAG and watched that, and we tape them, and we sometimes watch a lot of the old ones. And there was a thing in that this guy and his wife were having dissension, but he didn't want to mention it because it would affect his career.
Yeah. And I've seen personal instances of that when I was in college.
Yeah.
Well, I see it's time here to make usage of time.
Yeah, he better.
So, again, I want to thank the process and the mechanism for whatever in the hell it is.
Please tell me.
Please tell me. And I really would like to know, I want to apologize for having messed up the situation last week. Whatever messed up turned out to be.
You mean because of the session?
Well, no, in the dream, in the visualization, she attempted to do a leading exercise. I didn't get it.
Oh, well, that's all right.
I messed her up, and she ran away crying and that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
that's when she went away.
Yeah.
Because you were taking the lead, or you wouldn't take the follow.
I was a dumbass. Okay.
Well, but you're allowed.
Yes.
You're allowed. Don't be hard on me.
In any case, I want to apologize for that, but I would really like to know more about what was the real issue by which there arose the cause to pull the plug. I'm really wanting to know that.
That original discussion.
Yeah. What was the original reason? I'm wanting to know and get that under my belt. Outside of that, I'm perfectly entranced by what happened last week and going to see more. Well, okay. I'll simply describe what I'm seeing again here now. The context and venue is back in the hangar. The transport device is not there right now in the imagery. But I see Nephilim. I see appears to be a representation of one of the water creatures. I'm standing on the, I don't know where north-south is in this picture very well, but I'm looking out the entrance from back behind the excavation. I'm on the right-hand side looking across this machined flat surface. And across from me, about 20 feet away, are a Nephilim, something like a water creature in a spacesuit for all I can see. I don't know what spacesuits for water creatures look like, but and I think there's some more people there. And one of the serpent class guys is there. I think he's gives me that beckoning finger thing. Come with me kind of stuff. And so in the imagery, I'll walk over. First I'm going to look around and see what else I'm going to see. Oh, off to my left is, I think, the wife. I get a vague sense of some other, like, family members there. I think there's a circle of people appearing now. We're all standing up. I guess they're all doing like little claps or prayer symbols towards me. And right now I'm getting just waves of goosebumps through all my body. I often wonder if you can see my hair standing up.
Mm-hmm.
And the imagery just shifts now to various scenes I've seen before, like way down underneath where one of the crystal faces is, and being shown this bank of power crystal things. It's almost like generator stations, like a hydroelectric dam thing. I don't understand how to interpret this imagery, so I'll just have to describe it. It's like I'm viewing a long, thin cone of light that comes down through the top of the excavation, the hangar. I see blue, sparkly lights in it. I have a sense that this has something to do with Palladians. I'm just reading the words, they want to take over your world. And feed off you as if you were an animal. Doesn't make any sense, Joanne.
I guess I need you to clarify a little bit. Who's telling you that?
I don't know.
Someone is saying that they want you to, they want to take over the world and feed off you as animals.
As if that's a reference to the Palladians. That's why it's not making any sense.
But you said it wasn't the Palladians. That's what I thought I heard.
No, it's like there are some times when I perceive in the imagery that like a Nephilim or the guy in the boat or someone else is talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
In this situation, I didn't get that. I simply got awareness or voice in my head that said, this is an answer to your question of what the initial problem was about.
Oh, okay. So the initial problem is they wanted to take over the world and feed off precious animals. That was the original problem. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm having a little difficulty believing that right now. No, they say, no, we're telling you the truth.
And these were, I think, the Palladians, or who?
I'm a little unsure in this.
Please don't tell me.
Was it Palladians? The answer was yes.
All right, Palladians. Okay.
That's stupid.
Why?
I don't know, it just is.
Well, you'd have to read about them. Because I have read about them.
Okay, well, we'll talk about them later.
Yeah.
I wanted to see where else this goes.
I understand that. I'll tell you later.
Okay. I'm thinking down way below the crust of the earth now. I'm down in one of the underground corridors. I need a better word for corridor, subway station, tube, or waterway. It needs to be a better word that describes this thing. Certainly no freeway. It's not a river.
Passage.
Passage, yeah. But I see a barge. It takes up nearly the full width of the space of this passageway, and it floats, okay?
It floats though, but it's not on water?
Well, there's... have you been in a subway?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Think of the tube of the subway as a great big pipe,
Okay.
okay? And think of the pipe being half full of water.
Okay.
So the bottom part of the pipe, aqueous, has got water, and the top part's air, okay? And think of a barge floating on that water.
Okay. In this thing. Okay.
Okay. And
within this passageway, this whole thing.
well, I think it means sort of like a looking for the word here, place where you wait for the subway to come, subway platform.
Right.
Okay. Seem to be in one of those kind of wider openings. And I'm looking down this tunnel.
The station.
Station. Okay, that's a good term. Station. And I see a barge that fills up nearly the entire width of this passage, coming out of the tube. Okay, and it's carrying things. Now, I don't know what the propulsion mechanism is in the barge, whether there's like propellers down there or
But it's moved some way.
It's moved some way, and it seems to be nearly empty. And I'm being invited to step into this thing. And I think I have a sense that this is a passageway in the area that I've talked to you about, and like the Red Sea area and so on.
Yeah.
Okay. And the barge moves through the breadth of the passage station and goes down into the next section. Okay, guys, where are we going here?
Are you on the bus?
Yeah, I'm on the barge.
Okay, so you're going to the next section.
Well, we're in the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And you're moving on down.
yeah, but
Through the,
most of these little movement things happen in an instant. We're the next
Sure.
place. And,
right, exactly.
and, you know, this is so stupid. Okay, I have this tendency to edit the imagery and discard portions of it.
Oh, don't, just say it, because you'll get it on tape and that'll make more sense later.
Envision in your memory, if you will, the ride at Disneyland. What's the little train ride? Mm-hmm. One train ride that circles the circumference of Disneyland?
Yes.
And mostly the train's outside, and you can see the park and out to the freeway and things like that. There's other parts where it goes under the little tunnels, and there's those little tunnels that passes by little diorama, the right word, manufactured scenes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, many of the rides in Disneyland are of that nature. The thing that used to be there before Big Thunder Mountain was there. That little train ride through a little mining thingy where there's little pools of colored water and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And we seem to be passing one of these things.
Okay, so you've got these little scenes.
Yes. And I think I'm being shown one that looks like caveman-ish time frames.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling pretty uncomfortable about this right now. I would prefer to be viewing something else in this rather short time we have before I have to go here.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're saying, no, you must see this.
Okay. Hang in there.
I see some scenes that have, like, I don't know whether they're pictures or what, but they have long distance vista views. Wide open spaces. I see some mountain ranges, volcanoes, that kind of stuff. Seems almost similar to stuff at the beginning views in the 2001 movie. Just a bit more sense of scenes about the barbaric nature of the early man. I get the words, "We came to uplift you." You, a reference to humanity. Uplift is a science fiction-based word by the author David Brin in one of his stories. It relates to a situation where an advanced culture takes a much less well-developed species form, gets them out of barbarism, in the process to become workers for the higher evolved form. I don't know why I'm getting this. I'll tell you what I'm feeling here. I'm really beginning to like the Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
I'm beginning to have a much more yucky feeling about the Palladian guys.
Mm.
Yeah, but later. I think we came to another, like, station place. Oh, I don't like this at all. I see cages. I see something like pre-human inside the cages. I'm reminded of scenes from the movie, the original Time Machine movie, where there were the Eloi and the not the word.
Those sort of
inhuman
prehistoric humans.
Well, they were in that movie. They were monsters.
Okay.
I think we're passing by the cage and we're going up an elevator. I think it's an elevator. I think I'm back up in the area where the areas around the transport device, the residence, and the Nephilim there seems to be with me. And I get the gesturing over the vista of things to be seen. I get the word, "This is what we did for you. Why don't you love us?" And I don't have an answer for him. I'm a little mystified by this right now, Gillian. Part of me's concerned about running out of time here, and I'm wanting to go back and visit the scenery of last week.
You got 20 minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
They give me a prayer symbol and go poof. And I'm in a piece of scene that I've never really been shown before yet. Like I'm in an outdoor plaza somewhere. The wife comes up and she takes my left hand, asks me to go for a little stroll with her. And she seems to say, despite the problems and stuff, we really had a good time here. And I sort of see myself dancing with her. I'm the leader in this particular dance, so. There seems to be something like a holiday situation here, Jerry, and that is the little girls come up and they're just jumping around looking for attention. There are other families, I think, there in this, I would say like a picnic, like a group picnic. And although I'm having difficulty seeing right now I think I can get a sense of that's the purpose for the situation there. The girls are they're going bananas. They're just running around, okay? And I guess they're having contact with other kids, and they're just little kids run around and chase each other in those kinds of situations. That's what they're doing. And demanding my attention and saying, "Look at me, I'm here," and then they're going to run off. And what's going on here, guys? I'm a little confused right now. I'm saying we want you to be happy about this. Things weren't all that bad. You did what you had to do. Be prepared to do it again. What does that mean? We'll let you know when the time comes. Just press forward. The imagery shifts a bit here now. I think I'm back with the lady of last week, the one who's in this green chiffon kind of a gown. This is a weird handhold. We need to fix the handhold here. I'm having real difficulty seeing this from the immediately of my presence. So I'm being shown a distance view, okay, of maybe about 20 feet away, as opposed to looking at her directly through the partner eyes.
Mm-hmm. Like watching what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, observing.
Yeah. I'm mystified by it. Where's the detail for this coming from? Someone's saying, "Teach me how to dance." Last night I went down in cahoots and I spent some time with both Charlene and a couple of ladies at songs that were more rational and slower, where I took the follower position and I gave them more opportunity to see what it means to lead in two-step. So I'm attempting to do that with the lady in the green chiffon dress. She's having some frustration with this right now. Okay, I'll see what I'm seeing here. She wants to lead off as the leader by stepping out with her right foot as I step back with my left. And while in our current dance mode, that's what we do, but in that dance mode, the leader leads off with the left. why, but right now I'm just feeling totally exhausted. I'm going to ask the imagery mechanism to do something different right here. I'm going to request that we go back to this little place I saw last week of round covered thing with a stretch out crystal in the middle of it, okay? She says, you and I used to meet here. We were once in love, but things fell apart. I tried to tell you that things were going to fall apart, but you wouldn't listen to me. Now I'm trying to repair what went wrong. I'm speaking from her point of view. Please be patient with me in this process. I know you have to go here soon, so we'll call it quits for now and resume in the next session. And she gives a like kiss thing and turns around, comes back, gives a hug, and runs off. I don't know what this thing means. That one pops up again. And I described this to you in the past, and only this time he hands me this baton thing with a little multifaceted crystal on the top, made of wood, about maybe 20 inches long.
You need to give that a name. You've had that before.
Yeah. We'll call it the baton.
Baton.
The crystal baton.
Okay.
He hands me the crystal baton. And I think I'm being admonished for forgetting and putting it down and leaving it. A little stupid. And a little angel representation comes in and says hi and pops out. And I think I'm back alone in this little rotunda place with the stretched out crystal light in the middle. It's dark. I can have a sense of like grassy area around it, okay, and a square rectangular shaped courtyard with walkways, covered walkways. This thing is in the middle of all this stuff, okay. Reminds me very much of things I would expect to see in England. Architecture and so on.
The old style.
Oh, like abbeys?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Or kind of depictions of what people thought King Arthur type Camelot castle areas would be.
Right.
Oh, this is neat. I don't know whether I'm seeing a Palladian or not. I'll try and describe this. It's much taller than an Nephilim, much thinner. Somewhat humanoid in appearance, but the face is like it's been stretched. Really, this doesn't make any sense. Long eyes. I got the wrong identity of this thing, but it's blue colored. And it hands me an object that I'll try and describe it later.
Okay.
It's like a gift. And there seems to be the word, please accept this as a token of our appreciation for your efforts. So here I am. It went poof. So here I am, sitting on one of these little benches around this thing. I got the, what's the word you gave to now? Thing with crystal on the end of it, baton. And I got it in my left hand, and I got the little gift thing in my right hand. I'm going, okay, what next?
It's 7 minutes.
Okay.
We can go right up the hour. You don't have to pay me.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm going to thank the imagery for all that's going on here, and admit that I'm completely amazed at what comes through this stuff. And I'm going to just envision myself as I am in the chair right now. You can see my arms up. I've got the baton in the right hand and this gift thing in the left hand.
You don't know what the gift is? What is it?
I don't know.
You don't know what it is. You just got it.
It's maybe 8-10 inches tall. It comes in a little square-based box at the bottom, and there's something round in it at the top. And I don't really know what it is. I don't know. It could be a plant for all I know. But
Something from another planet. You'll find that out later, I'm sure.
I think it's alive, though. I think that's a growing thing. And so I'm here right now with the stuff, and so we'll just end this right now.
Okay. Feeling great. Well, I wonder if that was a Palladian. Well, okay.
Kevin, what's your story on
Okay. As I remember, I have to go back but I read the 2 books, Springs of the Dawn and then the one after it.
this?
And in the first book, they talk about these people. They don't acknowledge that they are the Pleiadians. Okay, they talk about these people come from another planet, and they come onto our planet, and they take and they actually conquer us. Okay, they conquer us, and they take. We had 12 strands, and so they made us their slaves, and they took and unraveled our 12 strands, so we just have 2.
Right.
We still have them. They're not gone, but we're just not using our power. Okay?
Right.
And anyway, these Pleiadians live off of fear. They live off of fear and chaos. So they created, this world so we'd have all this fear and chaos. And they survive off of it. That's what he said, eating off of us. Eating off of us. They live off the fear.
You mean like the Sons of Belial stuff?
Well, it's just they live off of chaos.
Okay.
Okay? Well, then they tell you all about that. Then the second book, then they finally admit that they're the ones who did it. They've learned their lesson. They don't want to do that to us anymore. They've left our planet. They are not, and they're trying to help us now get our 12 strands back together, get our power back, because the spiritual justice is this. This is what's interesting.
Oh, yes, like this.
Spiritual justice is they can't progress. God is fair unless we progress. So now they're trying to help us to get us all back and get our power back so that as we progress, we'll allow them to progress in the universe. And so this is like, it's more of a universal big thing. This whole deal is a big universal thing. It's not just our planet. It's like the whole universe is involved in all this.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I remember about the Palladians. And so when you said they wanted to feed off of us, well, they feed off our fear.
Uh-huh.
That's what keeps them going. Chaos.
Yeah.
And they said they had spaceships that went in and out, particularly around the Middle East. Well, still a lot of that down there.
What do you mean in and out?
Oh, spaceships. They had like places where they could go into the earth and come out, and anyway, stuff like that. And they had a name for it, almost like a vortex and the Middle East was one of the main places where they...
Oh, you mean like a landing area as opposed to a hole in the ground?
Yeah, I can't explain it, but it was almost, because they have different meanings for things. So that did make sense to me after reading those
Okay.
books. But see, now they're trying to help us, and that's what those 2 books were channeled for, to let us know that they're not trying to do us in anymore. So there was, you were saying, wonder if you were seeing this in the cages and the, I don't know, that was interesting.
That was completely unexpected.
That was very interesting. Well, now you're saying the Nephilims helped us. Maybe they helped us against the Palladians. I wonder. In this last book that I had, it talked about there were several, they didn't name names, but several other planets came in and tried to do stuff here, and
Uh-huh. Yeah, I guess I got a bug here.